Hey guys, welcome back. If you haven't seen it, you might want to go back and watch this video here with the grading companies shouldn't touch gambling. But today we're taking another look. We're taking a deep dive on the PSA gambling machine. Yes, we're calling it a gambling machine. This is not a vending machine. Even though it says vending machine on it, it is definitely gambling. Now, we have a rabbit hole I dig and keep on finding stuff. Sounds familiar. That's usually the case when something bad is going on. As I dig, it just keeps getting worse and worse. It's going to lead us all the way back to bad actors, card trimming, criminal records, rigged mystery products, and some really bad dudes. PSA messed up bad on this one. If they didn't know who they're dealing with, they didn't look into who they're dealing with, they didn't pay enough attention. I'm hoping they didn't realize how bad this really is or who they're working with. Stick around for the whole video because this is all very important information. This machine is linked to very bad people, and we'll get into all of that. Again, all of this is my opinion. Here's the disclaimer. I'm going to form my opinion. I suggest you form your own opinion. Look at everything available to you. Do your own research. Form your own opinion. Spend your own money how you're going to spend your own money. And if anyone who is involved with this would like to share their side of the story, they are very welcome to do so. The question everyone has been asking, the machine, is it by PSA? Did it come from PSA? And no, not really. It's kind of a partnership deal. I'd like to get more information on that. I have reached out to PSA. We'll take a look at that in a little bit. But you can see here that the customer confusion is real. There's a lot of confusion regarding whether or not this is an official machine, whether or not this was put here by PSA, since the branding on it is extremely PSA. You would think that if it was somebody else doing this, the PSA would be like, hey, you can't do that. You can't represent PSA when you're putting out this gambling. There's a huge conflict of interest. PSA should not be selling cards. They should not be selling gambling with cards. They should not be grading their own cards. It's very simple. That's what it is. They should not be competing with people that are getting their cards graded. If they want to be a third party, unbiased opinion, all this other crap, they need to not touch anything of the sort. Now, on that note, a consumer shouldn't have to spend hours researching what is going on here. It's my job, so I have, in order to educate you, the viewers of this very video. Gambling, mystery nonsense, etc. It's very dangerous when you put it in the hands of shady people. The nature of products like this makes it way too easy to deceive customers with everything being hidden, with it all being very hard to prove that something fishy is going on if it's done right. Reminds you of whatnot, right? Gambling is heavily regulated for a reason. It is for a reason. Other than the fact that the government wants a chunk of it, it's to prevent bad actors from doing bad things. And bad actors, even when the odds are stated, can deceive customers. A lot of the time with this stuff that we're taking a look at here, it's Pokemon cards, so it's like a free pass. It wouldn't surprise me if this stuff does get regulated in the near future at some point here, because it's clearly being exploited. You're entirely at the mercy of the gambling provided when you purchase something like this. The person that is providing the gambling service, they can pull your pants down and do whatever they want to you. As we've seen many times now on the channel, bad things can happen. Bad people can do bad things. We got shout out to Blake Martinez. They love their gambling. They love providing that gambling. They love making money off of gambling. Of course they do. It's free tendies, right? Easily exploitable. And it seems like gambling is the exploit of choice these days. Now, we got a couple videos. We got a few videos on here, and yes, it's hype dogger shit content. My apologies to these casino boys, the real casino kings. Shout out to them. I get it. They're just trying to do the grind the grind. But it's also, in a way, promoting this. And I think that's bad for everyone involved. Now, do they realize what's going on? Probably not. Do they realize that they're getting $1 cards that have been graded 10s, that they're wasting their $50 over and over again? Do they really care? No, they're making content. They're probably getting enough views. They're getting enough attention. They're maybe getting sponsorship. Maybe they're getting something. They're getting something. They got a ton of views on this stuff because people are confused what's going on. Now, speaking about people that are confused about what's going on, we have the collectibles guru, Eric Whiteback. I believe he sold the Twitter account. I don't know if he's still running the Twitter account. This is an individual who has been accused many times of stealing content, essentially not crediting the person that that content has been taken from. It looks like he did in this one. You got to click into it, but he did credit the real Casino Kings for their video, which is very nice of him to do so. If it's still him, it might be somebody else, but It doesn't really surprise me that the research wasn't done here, and he's going to say trending PSA has created a vending machine with PSA 10 trading cards that cost $50. Because yes, there is a research, there is work that needs to go in order to find out that no, this is not PSA, this is some other sketch dogger that's doing this. One more example of the confusion going on, and yes, there's lots of comments that are saying, are there odds? Is this PSA? What's going on here? What is going on? Who is doing this? What is going on? And yes, it's just as bad as it looks. We have, again, people that are in tune, people that are spending time with graded cards, with sports cards, Pokemon cards, whatever it is, they're confused. So the average consumer, of course, is going to be mega confused. We have sports card nonsense here, who is kind of restating, apparently PSA has put a machine. It's a vending machine, but it's a gambling machine. Yes, good on them for calling it out as a gambling machine. But again, it wasn't put there necessarily by PSA directly. They're kind of doing it through someone else. Are you still with me, guys? Hold in there. I promise this gets absolutely wild and out of control very quickly. We have no odds stated, which isn't really a surprise. I had someone from PSA tell me that the booth at the card party event had that same pattern on it. Struggled a little bit, but it's okay. We had Ava's Binder who reached out, was able to find some clear pictures of this bad boy, and sure enough, it looks like it's the same pattern. At least is it the same wrap? Was it provided by PSA? I have no idea. Maybe they'll tell us someday, maybe they won't, but here you go. So if PSA is not running this thing, which, spoiler alert, they're going to tell me that it is not them. We're going to look at that in a second. But why would they allow somebody to imitate and basically make it look like PSA is providing this vending machine? That's a little bit weird to me. Why would they do that? Now, the boxes themselves coming out of this vending machine, those are interesting too. They have it just says PSA on it. It doesn't say this is not PSA. It doesn't say anything of the sort. So you would think that would be, you'd have to run that by PSA at some point, or PSA would take some sort of action and tell you, hey, you can't pretend that you're us. But I think there might be more to the story. We got these PSA boxes, and then we also have PSA at the National. Again, you see the checker pattern here, on here. And if we scroll down a little bit, you'll see that they're offering mystery boxes. That looks, again, this is probably just a 3D rendition, but that looks a whole lot like the mystery boxes that were coming out of that vending machine that PSA is going to claim was not them. So we have mystery boxes, unlock complimentary graded cards, PSA merch, hobby packs, and so much more with PSA's mystery box vending machine. So is it PSA's vending machine? It's a mystery box vending machine that's PSA's. So this is even more confusing. So like, I'm doing research and I'm more confused than I was to start, but it's okay. We got more info to come. Super special thank you to Auburn35 who has assisted me on this and many other investigations in the past. So shout out to him. Give him a follow on Twitter. His help is truly appreciated, along with the boys from Blowout. My God, they're helpful, and my God, are they ever doing the right thing all the time. It's good to see. Glad to see it. Standing up to the people who are looking to wrong others. We have Dan the Card Man here who has noticed that the PSA 10 Charizard on the side of the PSA Vegas vending machine has been temporarily deactivated. How weird. And yes, we got the little tag here, and I think we have a pretty good idea of what's going on here. This is deceptive marketing, showing this on the side. I've seen several people in the comments and everywhere else saying that this is in the machine, that this is a possible pull. It's deactivated. So not only the fact that there's nothing stating that it could be in there, it's just on the side, so people automatically assume. That's the dangers in not being transparent, not having odds, not having anything to do with, hey, can I actually pull what's advertised here? And even then, if it's advertised, making sure that there's some kind of third-party audit or some kind of control that's in place to make sure that the actual hits are there, to make sure that they're not held until the very end. And that's going to lead into some of the stuff later in the video here. But yeah, we have known counterfeits of this bad boy, so they deactivated the cert. So the odds are of this thing being inside the machine even slimmer than they already were. Interesting enough, we have it. Of course, we gotta have the big boys on both sides of this machine, along with all the PSA branding, the PSA square pattern, square wrap that's on this bad boy. We have Michael Jordan. He's dunking for sure. And my God, does it surprise anyone that we got another big card on the other side? The odds of pulling this one, again, I can almost assure you that this is not inside the machine. It would blow my absolute mind if it was, and if it wasn't staged in some way. Again, I don't think anyone has possession of these two cards. This one is not deactivated, so at least it has that going for it. But guess where they came from? They came from the PSA banner, the same one that they use on the PSA YouTube and Facebook accounts. So it's just kind of stolen images from there. Whoop-de-doo. Who would have guessed? Who would have guessed? Now, whether or not they had permission from PSA to use those, I don't know. Do you know? I don't know. Does PSA know? They probably know. And if we take a look a little bit closer, if we zoom in extra hard, you can see here kind of hidden, kind of camouflaged in at the bottom of the vending machine. And no, it's not in very good quality because it's very hard to see. And apparently no one noticed it. But we have Cannon Rock ink down on the bottom here. What do you think's going on with that? Do you know where this is leading? Is it going somewhere sketchy? It's going real sketchy, real fast. We do a little search for Cannon Rock Inc., find out who's behind that, and sure enough, we have the president here, Justin Rumpf. And if we do a little bit more digging, if we take a little look over at the boys at Sports Card Radio, what do we see here? We see there is a video involving Justin Michael Rumpf and his involvement with a couple of very bad actors, him essentially posing as a frontman for their mystery shenanigans and wrongdoing. Again, there's a lot of stuff to go over here, so we're going to get into the Blowout forums post by our favorite boy over there, 312. We'll take a look at that for sure before the end of the video here. It's going to be a long one, but trust me when I say this gets worse and worse. We have Will Jamin here, very bad actor, very, very terrible for the sports card world. And again, this is where we're going to have overlap. Whether you're a Pokemon fan, whether you're a, it doesn't matter. Any cards, the card guys, the card wrongdoers, they're gonna dabble in whatever they can. If they can make money, if they can do some scammy whammies and mix it all around, they're gonna do it. It doesn't matter if it's Pokemon. It doesn't matter if it's pictures of animals that fight each other. It doesn't matter if it's pictures of men. They're gonna do what they can here. So we have a ton of detail here in the Sports Card Radio. There's a couple of these Sports Card Radio articles here on our boy Will. Very, very helpful, and thank you to them. Thank you to everyone who takes the time to publish, to make people aware, to spread awareness on this stuff, because otherwise it would have been a whole lot harder to find something that looks real bad. We'll just leave it at that. Well, it looks incredibly bad what's going on here. And then we also have a former PWCC employee, Jesse Craig, who was hanging out with the boys, apparently, with the other two, with Will and Justin. So where do you think this is going? Would anyone be surprised that this is a predatory machine, that something sketchy is going on here? Doesn't surprise me. Not to mention the fact that if we're going to say, don't worry, there's no connection between those old mystery boxes and these mystery boxes. This mystery product is a vending machine. It's not mystery. It's gambling. It's gambling, and it's being done by a party and associated parties that have done what looks like some very questionable stuff in the past. Now, this is from 2 years ago. This is Will's company. We have Jessica Larzewell. My apologies, Jessica, if I'm pronouncing that wrong. But this is important because this ties straight into Cannon Rock, who currently, their only employee listed, other than the president himself, Justin, is Jessica Larzewell. Maybe our first J-girl of the channel. Quick reminder that we do not contact anyone. We do not harass anyone. We do not reach out to anyone. We do not heckle anyone that is involved in this, whether they're at PSA or whether they're the people behind the vending machine itself. The goal of the channel is not to, there's no harassment going on. There's no threats going on. That is completely unacceptable. Completely disavow any of that stuff. Don't do it. Now, the goal of the channel is to provide transparency so that you customers, just in case there's anything bad going on, just in case you want to make the most informed decision on your purchases, on anything else of that sort, who you're working with, what you're buying, what you're supporting, that's why we're here. We're here to provide the transparency that is otherwise not disclosed. Here we have it. We have a conversation with PSA on the screen right now, and basically reached out to Nat. Nat sent me to Ryan. Ryan sent me to Elizabeth, and here's what we have. This is before I kind of dug in a little bit harder than what I did. I was mostly just wondering like what PSA was thinking. So we'll go through These last couple responses here. We have Elizabeth who says, "Hi Mike, the vending machines are not something we are officially partnering on. This is something a dealer is pursuing independently, but they are using cards for these mystery boxes that they have graded with PSA. So the slabs are legitimate and have been graded by us, but we're not involved in the distribution. Instead of the more traditional route of selling via a shop or online, this dealer is testing out this vending machine model for distribution. I am happy to connect you directly to the dealer if that would be helpful." And this was 7 days ago. My response was 6 days ago. I still haven't heard back. I don't know if I'm ever going to hear back or if this was just a little bit of a danger zone. I have informed them since then that they're probably, I think this was an oopsie doopsie on their part. I think that this individual, whether or not they completely vetted the individual, whether or not this person should be a dealer at PSA, it's ultimately their decision. But we'll have to see if they made a mistake in doing so. I personally, if I had a grading company, I would not want anything to do with anyone who had anything to do with the individuals and the products that they put out prior to. Not to mention the fact that they're plastering your branding all over it to the point that it's deceptive. Because people think this is a PSA vending machine, and it seems like they're a little bit more involved than they're letting on here. Again, I don't know whether or not they're disclosing everything here to me, but I reply with, "Hi Elizabeth, is there any concern or consideration for people not being able to tell if this is a PSA vending machine? The PSA branding all over it and wrap that even matches your booth from Card Party is misleading. Clearly a conflict of interest on many levels if it belonged to PSA, so I would think distinguishing itself as someone else is important. PSA grading, selling, or providing gambling for graded cards isn't a good look. Surprising to say the least, and that the misleading branding doesn't seem to be an issue, whether intentional or not. Who is the dealer and what is the best way to contact them? I'd love to ask them about their process, disclosures, etc." So we don't really need that information anymore because we figured out who it was. The Cannon Rock that was down on the very bottom there, the link to our boy Justin, and everyone else, all the shady actors, all the shady business, all the shady accusations, all the alleged fraud that went on with those boys. We're going to take a look at that shortly. So yes, I mean, the conversation kind of ended here because I didn't get a response, but if they would like to listen, if they would like to set up a meeting and they would like to see everything that I have, I'd be welcome. I'd be happy to share it with them. There's certain pieces of the information that is confidential that I cannot share due to people being put at risk. So other than that, the vast majority of what we need to take a look at today, what we need to take a look at what PSA needs to take a look at or should have taken a look at prior to this business agreement, that's all going to be involved in the upcoming lengthy discussion. This video is brought to you by the Linktree, the Rattle Pokemon Linktree. There's all kinds of good discount codes, all kinds of links that you can click before you're going to shop for things that you need anyway. Thank you very much to everyone that does this. It's very important because oftentimes we get demonetized. Oftentimes we get false flagged by scammerinis. And this is a great way to be able to, for me to publish the content that I need to publish, that I want to publish without having to worry about the repercussions of, you know, YouTube slapping my buns. Let's round things up here. We have a Blowout Cards forum post, and we're going to blow through it, pun intended. We have 3124508 on ComC here, who has a nice little article, a nice little write-up on Will. We're going to take a look through this bad boy. Again, if you'd like it in more detail and you'd like to see every single bit of this, I do suggest you go on there, you take a look, you take a read through. 312 and the rest of the Blowout Detective Agency, these guys are absolute gems, absolutely invaluable. The fact that the grading companies aren't relying on their free services that they're providing more than they actually are it's kind of baffling. It blows my absolute mind. That one wasn't intended. That pun wasn't intended. But these guys are going out on a limb, exposing, digging, showing all the receipts for the absolute wrongdoings that are happening in sports cards and everywhere else. And people need to just take a minute to appreciate what they're doing here. I strive to even, my goal is to publish and inform the consumer. These guys are something else. On the old will document here, we have him following on Facebook Kevin Burge, Vinny Ho, and Keith Koenig. And if you've been watching the channel, that might sound familiar because it seems like that's where the bad boy trimmed Charizard came from. The one that was missing the big chunk on the bottom here. If you haven't watched that video, I suggest you do. It's an oopsie doopsie. It's an expensive oopsie doopsie. And again, this is why PSA, all the grading companies need to be cracking down, need to be extra careful that they are not doing business, whether it's through someone else or not, with these individuals who are, they're going to cost these grading companies a ton of money. They're going to cost them reputation. They're going to cost them money, and they need to be very careful. They need to be more careful. This gets interesting here with the Heroes of Sport mystery products. And yes, there was a lot of drama of whether or not the value was there. We had a lot of very, very inexpensive cards in very expensive boxes. We had a $700 box apparently producing a $20 card. It sounds a whole lot like what we're looking at here with the mystery machine with a lot of these gambling products. Again, and without stating the odds, not great. So here we have second, there was a large controversy with the items in later boxes of the product being purchased during the product's run. In other words, the product was not completely packed out or even purchased before its launch. Ouch. This compounded by the fact that Jamet did not and still doesn't make checklists for his products nor even create a basic sell sheet was seen as highly concerning in the eyes of most. I think that's a pretty good reason to be concerned here. Now, if we take a look at one of the statements, we have, yep, they were stuffing the later boxes with crap they bought after release, meaning the people who bought in on day one had zero chance at a hot box and zero chance at who knows how many cards. Oh, and yeah. Those stupid raffle cards started falling to the 3 per case. That's when they got unannounced hot box idea, which of course only their larger breakers got. Nothing to see here unless you are a guy with a chair covered in bird crap. In 2015, it is unknown what exactly Jamet and HOS were up to. He/they were trimming cards by this point, more on that later, but it is unknown what other business ventures they were engaged in. Then, in very late 2015, Heroes made its return. It's she back, baby, she back. Heroes of Sports, The Truth, was sold in late 2015 through early 2016, and the only way I can interpret the evidence that I am about to present is that it was a massive scam. Feel free to disagree, but nothing below adds up to a legitimate product being issued. The product was 100 cases and was exclusively sold through Bros Breaks. Per Jamet, it sold out the day before a concluding draft that seems comparable to the convoluted HOS points auctions from 2013 that I will not explain in this thread. Here is a tweet from Jamet linking to the Breaker Bros page. Here's the Breaker Bros page. Note the name Jesse and the linked Facebook group. We got the nice little I am Jesse in the main chat if you send me a message. How cute. And who could that possibly be? We have here's the private Facebook group. As stated, this breaking group existed solely to break HOS The Truth and nothing else. We have Jesse here, who is an admin. Jesse Craig. Yes, the same Jesse Craig that was working for PWCC. Seems like he has no affiliation with PWC at this time, but he definitely was. And here we have it. We have his LinkedIn stating such. A higher up position at that. He is/was the co-owner of HOS, Heroes of Sport, the mystery product. Again, the dabbling back and forth, it's bad enough in itself. Let's get on back to reading the article here. So this is a little bit suspect. The former publicly known co-owner named Jesse Craig, who interestingly enough now holds a high-level job at PWCC, again, before, used to, created a breaking company to exclusively break 100% of a HOS product that has no checklist and will be broken entirely random, draft style. Does that seem a little bit suspect? If HOS wanted to break its own product, why not just do that? Because they were running an elaborate fraud, question mark. Yeah, you're making like a shell company, shell group to break the product that is the product of... It's not a good look. Certainly not a good look. Jamet posted some of the high-end hits from the HOS The Truth on its Twitter page. Here's an example. Here we have hits from the last 2 Heroes breaks. We got the Chef Curry. Chef Curry? Is that like his nickname? Immaculate Sneak Peek 1/1 massive Under Armour shoe piece. Very cool. The problem is that about 90% of these cards posted do not appear to have been legitimately pulled / drafted to customers. Remember the title of this thread about Jamit being a large PWCC consigner? That will be proven later, but for now, let's just analyze the hits from this product that were posted on Twitter. Of the last 25 hits from The Truth, posted, The Truth being the product, posted on Twitter, 22 out of 25 were sold through PWCC directly after they were posted. 1 sold through Probstein, and 2 did not immediately come up for auction again. There are many more, but 25 seems to be a large enough sample to get the picture. The links are below. And here we have it. Important to note that the tweets are removed, but we do have the worth point ones here, and that is mighty sketch. We have the receipts, and we have hidden receipts. Which is always take screenshots, guys, because people like to delete things. Why would 90% of the best hits be sold through PWCC immediately after they were pulled? The only logical conclusion is that Bros Breaks was created only to execute a fraud between HOS and Craig. If the product sold out, there is no way for them to have legitimately retained 90% of the best hits. And I don't believe that one legitimate buyer purchased some 90 cases of the product. If so, you would think that'd be pretty easy to prove, right? After this debacle, Jamit's trimming side hustle was in full force through 2016, but everything came to a halt at the end of November 2018 when Jamit was arrested for the following: unlawful use of a weapon, assault in the 4th degree, harassment. We aren't going to go into detail here on the old criminal case, but if you'd like to, there are links available. There is more information on the thread here by 312. Feel free to go give that a check-a-roni if you want all the details, if you want more details. A few months later, Jamit was back to buying cards to trim, but his days of HOS products were evidently not over yet. In early 2019, with all of Jamit's LLCs expired for the upteenth time and the HOS website lost to another entity, Jamit fired up the HOS Twitter account again to start pumping his new HOS products. He distributed them to at least 4 breakers: Blowout, Cardsmith's Breaks, Grand Slam Collectibles, and Latent Sports Cards. Yet again, there is no checklist and no sell sheet. I was amused to see that Grand Slam was selling the product based off what was pulled from HOS products 4 to 5 years ago. Simply comical. Again, just the lack of disclosure, lack of transparency on all of this stuff is really telling, because it would be very easy for them to provide that. There's not that many products. Surely you can say what's in the product. Surely you can say who it went to. It's hard to assess if a card is trimmed from a group break video, but here's a card that was pulled from 2019 HOS that is unquestionably trimmed. So that's the thing. There's the shadiness that can go on with the mystery products themselves, and then also the fact that they're using it as a front to get rid of, to move these products, these cards that were trimmed. And there's a ton of evidence that indicates that that's what's going on. Now, whether or not that's going on with the vending machine is a different story. It doesn't necessarily need to. I mean, it's kind of a double-ended. If both of these things are happening, it's a double-ended scam. Not only are you scamming the grading company, scamming people that are getting the cards because the cards are altered, but also with the odds of the event. If you're hiding, if you're holding back, if you're, keeping some of the boxes for yourself and selling off the singles, because apparently they were left behind. It seems like they were left behind. But then also, it's just scams from every angle. It's just taking advantage and making a buck wherever they can. In my opinion, in many people's opinions, in 312's opinion, it's all looking real bad. So here we have it. I love these. We got the before and after, the pre and post, where you can see there's damage on this card. Again, if you have the card in your possession at this point in time and would like to provide photos, by all means, please do. Be very careful out there, guys. There are a ton of people. Where there's money, there are bad actors. Back to the thread here. I'm going to assert that this card from 2019 HOS is trimmed, seeing as it went from a GMA 8.5 to a PSA 10. If anyone knows who has it, we can be 100% certain. So here we have it. Again, this is going into detail about the partners. Again, we had Justin being a front man, allegedly, for these individuals so that they could do something similar. And now we have PSA, who is apparently working with him and has made him a dealer, that is absolutely terrifying. And PSA allowing Cannon Rock, from what I can tell, to use their branding and to essentially, whether intentional or not, deceive people into thinking that that's an actual PSA vending machine. Now, how close is the partnership? I can't really tell. I don't know. Unless PSA comes out and says something about it, unless they come out and do something about it. I think as anyone that is invested in PSA cards, you should be absolutely wanting PSA to do the right thing here, because if they tarnish their name, they also sort of tarnish the cards that you own. And yes, there has been some bad things that happened before, but this is where I say time and time again, this is where it's important for the consignment companies, for the grading companies. This is where they're going to either stand up and do the right thing and make sure that this stuff doesn't happen. Yes, mistakes can happen. Yes, people can weasel their way through and submit cards even if they're banned from services. But when given the opportunity, when given the chance or a sign that something is going wrong, something that is not in the best interest of the consumer, oftentimes also themselves, because if they have to pay out on a lot of this stuff, if you have trim cards that you got to pay out time and time again on the last sale that happened, it gets scary. It gets scary expensive for PSA as well. And again, that's where the whole like guarantee thing, they're going to fight you on it a little bit, at least a little bit, sometimes a lot, to say like they don't want to pay something out, that the grade is what the grade is supposed to be. Before and after pictures only count if it's a baseball bat from just an olden time black and white photo. You can't photo match trim cards, but you can photo match a fucking old bat from three doors down in a black and white photo that was taken with one of those things where you got to put the sheet over your head and click the little button. We got pre and post looking like some damage missing there. So again, this is just bad signs all around. Bad signs. Be careful too if you're uploading images to Imgur or Photo Bucket or anything like that. That in these threads, it's kind of a shame that some of that gets lost to time. Save everything. Multiple copies of it. If you see anything out there that's suspicious, make sure you save it all. Here are the flagship color cards he bought. Control F for, not sure what this is supposed to be, on these feedback pages. Oh, that's for the eBay user ID. Sometimes the forum will actually like censor stuff, so you gotta try and guess what the word is. Guess what the bad word is. On these feedback pages, if you're so inclined, feel free to copy the listing title over to WorthPoint to check the condition of these cards out. Most clearly are not gem mint. And that's the thing. With 312, with Blowout, the Blowout Detective Agency, these guys are so on point with the before and after examples. If they had free reins to some of the resources that the grading companies and the consignment companies had, like you would never be able to scam a person. Maybe not never, but it would be incredibly difficult. The absolute damage these guys do, the research that these guys do is impeccable with the amount of information that's available to them. Like just examples and examples and examples. This is a scammer's absolute worst nightmare, is these guys. We got linking Will Jamit to QUT9. We got locations pinpointed. Again, this is a lot of the trimming, linking back to who bought the cards and everything else. The receipts are all there, guys. The receipts are all there. We've seen time and time again where these grading companies will ignore the fact that cards are marked trimmed. They don't deactivate them. Sure enough, they don't want to pay out on them. They don't want to have to find out who owns it and pay them out thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars sometimes, like the trimmed Charizard that we mentioned earlier. We got points to take away from this thread. Do not purchase any Heroes of Sports products. And I think the same can be probably said about our vending machine there. Buyer beware when purchasing cards from fly-by-night repack/card companies. This is super important. Repacks, mystery things, be very careful. You are just pulling your pants down and exposing your butthole to these companies. The same with the gambling stuff on Whatnot. Any of this stuff. There's a reason with the shell game and all these friggin' carnival games and shit like that. There's the whole carny trope, getting ripped off by a carny. It always involves games, right? Gambling, games, stuff like that. You're truly throwing the money away. Essentially, you're totally relying on someone that does not need to provide what's offered, if it's even offered to begin with. It can be as misleading as it wants. It can be as awful as it wants. And people are still going to fall for it. So it's important that you get the information out there. It's important that you share this with anyone that's hype dogging this fucking PSA vending machine, gambling machine, slot machine, by somebody that's associated with this stuff. The stuff that we went through here, we're talking about the front man. We got the same employees at this Cannon Rock that's posted right on the fucking side of this thing. And like, I really don't even have an excuse for PSA to turn a blind eye to that. They need to smarten the fuck up and pay attention. Like, unless it was intentional. I'm gonna give PSA the benefit of the doubt here that they didn't secretly partner with someone, because clearly they wouldn't have made it that obvious, right? Number 4, greatly concerns me that Jesse Craig is employed by PWCC considering his involvement with HOS and relationship with Jamit. So, that's the thing too. PWCC, I advertise their listings, I purchase off their platform. I don't want to catch them. They're getting a second chance here. It's owned by Fanatics now. I don't want to see any of this shit. And I don't care if there's any of this stuff that comes out. If there is, I'm going to show it anyway. Just know that, guys. There's no secret decret. I will gladly talk about bad things that happened at PWCC previously or any of the other companies. If something bad happens, I'm here to be 100% transparent. If they don't like it, whatever. See ya. As a little tie-in, we have another Uptown mystery box here that was done by the boys. That was a little fronted by the boys. And again, it doesn't matter. They'll change their name. They'll try to disassociate themselves from it. They'll use usernames that's not their name. They'll try and push somebody else. Maybe they get like a gem mint Pokemon or something to do all their business for them. Somebody that has a name for themselves to try and kind of disassociate or not be attached to any of the products that you would think that they would be pretty proud about. But here we have it. Here's another Uptown mystery box. So just because something's under a different name, if it's Cannon Rock, if it's a vending machine, if it's the same guys behind it, if it's the same employees behind it, whether Will's behind it or not, if you have somebody that was fronting for Will, and you have somebody that was associated with Will, and on the old list of employees on both the companies, you can probably be pretty sure that this is going to be the same thing. I would be very surprised if he all of a sudden turned a new leaf, and he blows my absolute mind. And again, they were pumping it through this pristine auction. The auction companies, you guys, the consignment auction companies, you need to be responsible. I know you like to say, oh, the grading company graded it, so we don't have to worry about it. Whether you're a little consignment company or whether you're the biggest big ones, you need to take responsibility to protect the buyers that are on your platform, the people that are your customers. They matter. Thank you very much. Sports Card Radio, Blowout, 312, Auburn, all of the people that contribute to this, Dan the Card Man, everyone. You guys need to truly appreciate what these guys are doing. It made my life, made my job on this one much easier because there's a giant trail. The documentation that these guys have provided is invaluable. And it's a shame that the companies, the grading companies, the auction companies, that they don't make use of it because it's provided at free of charge. Similar to how these videos, they're never going to be paywalled. They're available to everyone, anyone that wants to watch it. I'm going to share my opinion. I'm going to share the information that I find. I'm going to show you how I came to my opinions. Form your own, guys. Join the Discord. Thank you very much for tuning in. If there's any updates on this, if there's any information, send it my way. And we will make a follow-up accordingly. Thanks for tuning in. Love you guys. I just spit all over the place. Have a good one.